Under a spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy stands. The smith, a mighty man is he, with large and sinewy hands, and the muscles of his brawny arms are strong as iron bands. His hair is crisp and black and long, his face is like the tan. His brow is wet with honest sweat, he earns whate'er he can, and looks the whole world in the face, for he owes not any man. Week in, week out, from morn till night, you can hear his bellows blow. You can hear him swing his mighty sledge, with measured beat and slow, like a sexton ringing the village bell when the evening sun is low. And children coming home from school look in at the door. They love to see the flaming forge and hear the bellows roar, and catch the burning sparks that fly like chaff from a threshing floor. He goes on Sunday to the church and sits among his boys. He hears the parson pray and preach. He hears his daughter's voice singing in the village choir, and it makes his heart rejoice. It sounds to him like her mother's voice singing in paradise. He needs must think of her once more, how in the grave she lies, and with his hard, rough hand he wipes a tear out of his eyes. Toiling, rejoicing, sorrowing, onward through life he goes. Each morning sees some task begin, each evening sees it close. Something attempted, something done, has earned a night's repose. Thanks, thanks to thee, my worthy friend, for the lesson thou hast taught. Thus at the flaming forge of life, our fortunes must be wrought. Thus on its sounding anvil shaped, each burning deed and thought. That was The Village Blacksmith by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, a poem my father knew by heart. Welcome to Woodworking for Miniaturists. I'm David Knight. This is episode 17, a tour of the Smithy. This is a 1/12 scale miniature blacksmith shop, a project of mine from a few years back that still needs a few details. This is not from a kit. It was made from scratch, but it is also not my own design. It comes from a book published in 1995 called Making Character Dolls Houses by Brian Nichols, an Englishman who has published 2 books of detailed plans and instructions for characteristically British dolls' houses. Between his 2 books you can find all the information necessary to build 2 different Georgian houses, a Victorian grocery store and residence, a water-driven grist mill and residence, a pub or inn, a fisherman's house and gear storage, a Tudor townhouse, and this structure, which can be outfitted as a cider mill, or as you see here, a blacksmith shop. The main structure consists of panels of 1/2 inch plywood, assembled with rabbet and dado joints, secured with screws and wood glue, and some timber framing, as you will see. It's built on a platform which provides space to run electric wires, and also provides a surface for some landscaping, which has yet to be done. One of the main features of this structure is its thatched roof. Full-scale thatching is done with bundles, called yelms, of reeds or straw, laid in overlapping rows and trimmed to an even surface. The scaled-down version of reeds used here is coconut husk fiber, which can be purchased in bundles already oriented in one direction. It's made by ENT, and its code number is ENT300. I found it on the Little Dollhouse Company website for $11.95 a bundle. Supposedly a bundle is enough for 1 square foot, but I think I used 5 or 6 bundles on this project. The fiber was gathered into bundles about 3/8 of an inch in diameter, bound by tape on either side of the midpoint, and then cut in the middle between the bindings, which made the bundles, or yelms, about the right length. The top ends, with the binding tape, were saturated with PVA glue, Aleene's tacky glue, and then these yelms were glued and clamped to the purlins in the roof frame in overlapping rows. Then the whole thing was given a haircut so that only the ends showed. The cap on the peak was glued and then sewn in place with cord. The other main component of the exterior is the stone walls. The stones are cut out of a packing material I got for free from IKEA. It is the same stuff they use to make those gray fiber egg cartons. This stuff is made by spraying liquid paper pulp onto a form. When dry, one side is the shape and the texture of the form. The other side is rough. I think it makes a good scale rendition of limestone. The material is cut into stone shapes and glued to the plywood structure, sealed with Mod Podge, grouted and painted with wash. The roof consists of vertical rafters that sit on the beams, and on top of the rafters go horizontal purlins, and the yelms of thatch are glued to those purlins. The removable portion of the roof is held in place by a couple of wooden pins. The wood is scratched along its length and given a dark wash to make it look aged. There are 2 hanging lights and a fire in the forge lit by a 12-volt transformer that plugs into the base. A blacksmith shop must needs to be fairly dark so the smith can see the color of the glowing hot iron to be able to judge its temperature. Inside, the smith stands at his forge close by his anvil and a barrel of quenching water. Behind the forge in the corner is a bellows with a long handle within easy reach for the smith. The plans for this bellows were provided in the Nichols book. The forge is made of miniature bricks available from miniatures.com. Note there is an ash cleanout on the bottom side of the forge. The walls are a rough plaster and the floor is gravel, which is electric train track ballast held in place by thinned Aleene's glue. The smith is a resin figure from Minimum World, number DP347, quote, workman, end quote, and is listed in that website at £8 79 pence. I have him holding blacksmith tongs. The workbench is a wooden platform and a wooden shelf on a simulated iron frame. The tools, oil cans, and etc. are all available from miniature sources. I love the 3 mason jars with bits and pieces in them. There are lengths of iron on the shelf brackets overhead. I have extended the gravel out the door onto the yard as a path for a wagon to come into the shop. Note that the smith keeps a pit bull. The quenching barrel is a stock item, which I painted to make it more realistic. The anvil was whittled from a block of wood. I'm rather proud of that. Note the iron straps holding the feet of the anvil to the wooden block. I built a treadle grinding wheel that runs in a trough of water. The wheel is a small grinding wheel designed to be run in an electric handheld drill. I'm happy with the frame, the trough, and the treadle board. The cranking mechanism is made from erector set parts. It looks clunky and does not work very well, so I'd like to redesign and rebuild that. The door has a working latch. It is aged and the very bottom is rotting and ragged. I built one of my best pieces for the blacksmith shop. It was what is called a leg vise, a massive vise anchored to the ground. I carved it from wood, gave it a threaded shaft, and a return spring made from a pocket clip from a pen. It worked quite well, opening and closing with a turn of the handle. It was always kept in the smithy, but I was showing it off and misplaced it, in which case it will show up, or it was knocked off the buffet into a wastebasket, or smashed by a vacuum cleaner, and it is now in the possession of Rumpke Waste Management. Alas, all I can say is alas. I am replete with rue. This miniature still needs several things. A new leg vise, for one. A coal bin. A water pump out in the yard. Some landscaping. An uneven yard surface with patchy grass, weeds, maybe a bush. It needs more forging tools near the anvil, more tongs, more hammers, various hardy tools, and drifts. It needs simulated water in the quenching barrel. It needs a dark wash on the lower part of the walls so they don't look so pristine. Maybe some green lichen or moss, and perhaps some vines. It needs a lot of scrap iron and broken parts just laying around, outside and inside, and perhaps some signage. Well, that's it for the Smithy tour. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. Love you like fried chicken.